So we have seen bind mount. Now we will look into volume mount. So the best use case for bind mount, as we have discussed, to update the changes by the developer. But for the volume mount, so if you want to preserve data, if you want to preserve database, for the preserving data purpose, the better option is volumes. So Docker volumes. So for that, let's begin our exercise. Let's get into so before we begin our exercise, let me clean up, let me do the housekeeping. So Docker images, I'll keep the image Docker ps. Okay, anyway, this one, yeah, house was kept clean because we have done that exercise now. Okay, so now I'll clear the screen. Ls, you have cd bind mount, you have, yes, everything clear. Yeah, now, so to do, to create a volume mount, so this bind mount experiment is done. Now let's do the volume mount experiment. So I'm going up a little bit. So volume mount experiment. Okay. So now for volume mount, the main use case for that is use case is database, or for data preserving data. So this is the main use case of it. But how do we do that? For this, first we have to create a volume. First we have to create a volume. Once volume has been created, you can attach that volume name, or you can map, it's better way of saying is map. You can map that volume name with the container directory or container data directory. So once the mapping is done, and spin the container. So these are the steps we're going to do here. So let's get into the action. So to create a volume, we use docker volume. Let's type docker volume and see uses docker volume and then command. So this is to manage volumes. We have five commands. One is create, to create a volume, then inspect, it display detailed information on one or more volumes, then ls, list volumes, then prune, remove all unused local volumes, rm, remove one or more volumes. Okay, now let me give docker volume ls. See, these are the volumes has been listed. Let me show the list of ls var lib docker volumes. You see that same, this list and this list same, because it's been created that way. Okay, so docker volume. Now to inspect, docker volume inspect anything one. Okay, we will create our volume and then we'll inspect it. We have some, okay, or else we'll list it docker volume ls, and now we'll go docker volume inspect. I'll take anyone. You see that you got the complete information about that volume. So created at 2023 128 today at 9:22. Driver local labels null mount point. Where is the mount point? You see that where lib docker volumes. This is what the mount point in our host machine, in our docker server. That is the mount point. Let me copy that mount point here, so that create a volume, and volumes mount point is this. Okay, this is mount point. Mount point. Okay, and name, this is the name. So we are gonna give our name, options, and scope local. So let's create our first volume. So docker volume, to create the command create. So docker volume create, and name I'm gonna give volume name, I'll say SQL wall. Okay, this is enough. SQL wall or SQL volume, and let me enter. Yes, it's been created, SQL volume. So let us do docker volume ls. You see that last one, and let's inspect that. Docker volume inspect SQL volume. You see that created just now we have created, and local, and the mount point is this. So I will copy this, and name of that SQL volume. So let's go to CD, and let's put this, and we should no CD to, yeah, copy this and paste it here. Now let's see, here is that data. Okay, we have directly entered into that. Now you see that SQL volume. So CD SQL volume data, where data directory, it's completely empty, nothing is there. So our SQL volume directory is completely empty. So now it's, we will map this volume with the containers data directory. So for that we have to spin the container. So let me clear the screen, come to root directory. Now we will do that. So docker run name of the container SQL DB, that's enough I guess, or wall mount. This is to do the wall mount experiment, so that's the reason. So name is done. Now let's run it in detached mode. Then we'll check the environment variable MySQL root password, and I'll give password. That's it, that's the password of it. And then option P, the port mapping 3030 with 3306. Then let's do the volume mapping. So volume mapping, what's the name of our volume? Our volume name is SQL did I write here? Nope, I think SQL volume, I hope, or else we'll look into that. So then map this SQL volume to the var just copy this. This is our mount point, and where is that? Here is, yeah, var lib mysql. Okay, then image name. So image name is cube charan and / mysql version 1. So done. So let me execute it. That's it. The container has been spun. So now before I check the, or I inspect anything, let's check whether the container is properly running or it got exited. So docker ps, yes, absolutely fine, it's up and running without any issue. So now let's do our activities one by one. So now first, as I told you, it should have stored the data in var lib docker volumes directory. So let us check that. To do that, ls, just a minute, ls var lib docker volumes, you got the this one. So let me move there, var lib docker cd volumes. Now let me get into this SQL. You see that data directory. Here is the magic. Here is the magic. You see that all the files which are there in this directory has been copied. So in the volumes directory, you should find your volume directory with the same name that you have created, that is SQL volume, SQL underscore volume, and inside that we have all the data. So but we just want to cross check whether the SQL container also consists of same data or not. For that, what will we do is we will do docker exec it interactive and terminal, then container name is SQL db wall mount, then I have bin bash in that. That's what I'm going to access it, and see we are inside the container. So let me say ls and go to the cd var lib mysql. You see that? You see this here? Sorry, you see these files here and you see these files here, same, exactly same. Now I'm going to create more files and we'll see the magic. So I will do touch file .txt ls. You see 10 files has been added. So let me exit from this location and get into our volumes data. You see that SQL volume, this is our this is the volume that we have created, saying docker volume create of command, and then inside the data. Now let me give ls. You see that file 1 till file 10 all has been reflected in our host machine. So like that, if you consider the similar example, WordPress, whatever you type, whatever blog you write, that all will be immediately the blog, whatever data that will be stored inside the database, all will be copied, all will be reflected inside the host machine. Even if I remove, even if I stop and remove the container, I can still have a data with me. Now again, if I happen to delete this container, the data is still in my host machine in a volume. I can attach to the new container when it gets created. That's simple. Let's do that. Let's do this exercise. That's why I'm saying now this is beneficial. This, the best use case for this is to keep if you want to have that data, if you want to have a database, okay, that for that it's a best case. If you want to preserve a data or database or data tables, this could be the best case. So let me do docker ps. So docker stop this container, and name of the container is SQL. And once it's stopped, let me remove the container, docker rm SQL. So now it's been removed. So now what I will do is, let me check that ls. See that the data is still there. So now what we are going to do is, now I can attach the same data. So the data will not go anywhere, because see, I've told you, I gave some example. We want to keep the data, and up we want to upgrade our application. That's what we want now, right? Yes or no? Yes or no? You only tell me. For example, in the blog example, 15 blocks were there. If you remove the old container, all the blocks will be gone. Okay, then if you create a new container, even that container should have old blocks as well as the new blocks that you write. Yes or no? To do that, this is perfect. This is absolutely perfect. Now I'll show you that. Now file 1, file 2, file 3, these are the additional data that we have created. Now similarly, I'll create 4 more files, touch, and I'll add YAML files. Okay, templates dot dot YAML files ls. You see that there are a lot of files now in this. So now let's run the container, and we will attach this volume. So what's the volume name? So docker volumes, docker volume ls. This is the volume name, SQL. Okay, let's run it again. Docker run name and SQL tb wall mount wall mnt. Then detached mode, option E, MySQL root password, and the password is password. Then option P, then map 3030 port of host with the 3306 port of container. Then let's attach volume. So volume name is SQL, volume, and map with var lib MySQL. Then image name cube charen MySQL and tag 1. Correct? Yeah. So let me enter. Yes, it's been built. New container, docker ps. Yes, it's up and running, no problem at all. So now let us enter into the docker, and we'll see how many files has been created, whether the existing data which is inside the volume mount has been attached, has been copied into the uh, container or not. For that, I will do docker exec it, and container name is SQL, and then I will use bin bash as usual. So we are inside the container. If you want, we are inside the inside the container. Who am I? Root user, host name, nothing. Okay, that command is not there. So now let us do the pwd and ls. So let's get into the var lib mysql. You see that file 1 till file 10 and templates 1 till 10. Okay, 1 till 10, all templates and all files. You see that? That means the existing blocks also has been copied. So that's the power of volume mount. See, the volume mounts can be useful. That's the reason for the volume mount. The best case is database or for preserving data, and for the bind mount the best use case is to do the changes in the host machine, basically for the developers. If you want to add a piece of code, then for that it would be better. So now we will clean up. Now we will clean up the containers. Now we'll clean up the Docker server. So first let us exit out of this and clear the screen, and docker ps stop this container, docker stop, and after stopping docker, or just for fun we will do small activity before we do the cleanup of this. Okay, the activity is pretty simple. I just want you to enter inside the mysql and give some commands. That's it. Like, anyway, we have deployed a mysql database, we have deployed a mysql and service. So now I just want you to take inside the mysql and use that mysql. So let me do mysql. So there is no mysql this thing, so I'll install apt install mysql. Okay, we will install while running, not now. Apt update. So now let me do the docker inspect of the container, sql db wall mount. So just copy this ip, 172.17. this is network, and 02 is host. This is the gateway for this host. So host gateway's address is 0.1, and our container's address is 0.2. Anyway, so now let's ping the container. Ping and paste it. Yes, it's successfully running. You can see that 64 byte from this. It's sending the packet. It's receiving the packet. ICMP seek 1, and milliseconds, within milliseconds it's able to take that. Okay. So now, as we have, let me come out of this. So now let's open MySQL. Let's open the MySQL. Let's access the MySQL inside the container. For that, I will type MySQL and then option H and container address. That's IP address. Containers IP address. Okay. I don't get it. Oh, something else has been copied, na? That's the reason. Okay, no problem. These are all of those. Okay, let me clear the screen. CD root. Yeah, this is fine. Best place to be. Now I'll give MySQL. Before that, let me get the docker inspect SQL db wall mount. I want this IP first. Let me copy this IP. This is just for fun, we are not doing. So our main important exercise has been done in this case. Let me copy this IP here. Okay, so now let's do MySQL access. MySQL option H. Then after that we're gonna use give the space and get me the IP. Okay, here it is, and paste it here. Sorry. Then after that I'll say root user space u, that's a user. U option is for the user. Then I want to go with the root user, and the password that I have mentioned, a P option for the password, and password mine is password itself. Okay, all done. Let me click enter. So it's unable to get it because MySQL warning using a password on the command line interface. Okay, we have entered. So we are inside the MySQL. We are inside the container now. So now let's what it's saying, warning using a password on the command line interface can be insecure. So welcome to the MySQL monitor. Congrats. So welcome to the MySQL monitor. Command ends with /G. Your MySQL connection ID is 8. Okay, our connection ID is 8 and server version is 8.0.32 and MySQL community server is GPL. Okay, and one more thing I just want to tell you before that you should install MySQL inside your server. Okay, to do this, because we are giving MySQL command now here. To give MySQL command, you should have a MySQL. So you have to say apt install MySQL this version 8.0.32. So I'll copy that. Wait, I'll paste it here. You do that. Apt install MySQL and then version 8.0.32. So you'll find that proper version. So you install that, and after that you execute this command. So I'll copy this also so that you can see that clearly. Copy it. I'll paste it here. Yeah, and this is anyway IP has to be placed there. So now let me check. So Oracle is a registered trademark of Oracle Corporation and or its affiliates. Other names may be trademarks of their respective owners. So for help you can go for this. If you give a /C to clear the current input statement. So let me go for the help /help. So I can see some of the commands here. So first I will type just shortcuts also there, but I'll type help. So if you type help, you will get the help. Okay, and if you type clear, it will clear the screen, and if you type connect, it's gonna reconnect to the server. So optional arguments are DB and host. You have to give DB database. Then you see that connection ID is 9, but there is no database is mentioned, so that's the reason. Then if you click exit, we're going to exit out of the MySQL server. See, it said bye and we came out of the MySQL server. So let me execute that one more time to enter inside that. Yeah, now I'm again inside. I'll say help. So then delimiter, set statement delimiter, then edit command is to create an editor, to make an editor. You see that now you can give your MySQL schema, a SQL schema, create this, from this bring that, so from this select all and do something. So these kind of SQL all everything you can give from variable name and bring all and do something. So this kind of, for this kind of activities it will be useful to edit. Then you go for go, so send command to MySQL server. If you click on go, okay, let me clear the screen. It's still under editing. Yeah, now we came out. Now when I say go, so we have to specify a query so that it will connect with MySQL. So help, then note and pager, a print a current command, prompt, change your MySQL prompt, then quit to quit MySQL, and source, let me give status. This is what the status of the server. So MySQL and version 8.0.32 and Ubuntu 20.041 for Linux. So connect ID is 10. Current database, no database has been created, but the current user is a root user at this IP, and SSL and std out current pager. So server version is this. Yeah, this is the correct proper version. You use this while installing. Yeah, here. Okay, and protocol version 10, connection, this is the connection 172. This is container IP via TCP forward slash IP protocol that we have discussed in networking module. Then server character is a character set DB client con, all are this, and TCP port is this, we have mentioned that, and hexadecimal uptime 12 minutes before it started. So remaining all other information you will get it from here. Then let me give system. So system is shell command. Then T, use must be followed by database. We should have one database to use that command, and help. So that's how you can enter inside a container and using a MySQL application inside your host server. You can basically do whatever you want inside that container, maybe creating a database and creating data tables and running the SQL schema, running the queries, whatever you want, you can do everything. So let me come out of this exit, let me exit it, and let me come back to my, yeah. So here we have seen two examples, we have specifically seen uh, two examples. So we have seen bind mounts as well as volume mounts, and what are their best use cases. For volume mount, the best use case is database or preserving data, whereas for the bind mount, to do the changes in source code of application, or this is best fit for the developers if you want to update or upgrade your source code in the container. So bind mount would be the best way of doing. So after that we have run some queries in MySQL container also. So now it's finally we have come to the cleanup procedure. So let me clean up everything and we'll close this, we'll wrap up this exercise. So again, get back to this, clear the screen, docker ps, nothing is there. So docker ps1 container is running. So now let me stop this container, docker stop, and container name is SQL db volume mount. Now let me remove this container, docker rm SQL db volume mount. So now it's been done. Now let me check the images, how many images we have. We have only one image. Now let me remove that image also, that's capture, and yes, yes, docker images. Let me cross check one more time to list out nothing, no images, no containers, it's all done. The machine has been cleaned, so house has been kept. That's it in this exercise.